Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Eternal Warrior #1, part of the Valiant books, as part of the tribute to Jim Shooter and his phenomenal contribution to comic books. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. I'm actually up to number 32. Which is a little bit late this month, but it'll be shipping out this week if everything goes according to plan. And it never does, but so we are going to try our hardest. You can get these at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, and it's only $3 a month for a 12-page full-size, full-color comic book, but it's actually increasing this month to 16 pages, so you'll be getting 16 pages of comics for $3 a month. And so join up. It's a perfect time to join up and jumping on spot. That's what one of my patrons said, is that it's a perfect jumping on spot. You can also get these at my website, alexanderturbin.com, or you can contact me at alexturbin0441 at Yahoo or alexturbin0441 at Instagram. This is a cover by Jeremy Duncan, and I'm always having, because this is turning into a true anthology, and I'm going to have backups by Jeremy Duncan, and Paul Courtjohn and Chris Knox and a whole bunch of other artists. If you're an artist and you would like to see your work in Random Access, please let me know. Just contact me, and we will figure something out, definitely. So check out Random Access. I really, truly appreciate all of the support that you guys give me. And we got big things coming through the pipeline. So, Eternal Warrior. Again, another Jim Shooter creation. And it was weird, like I said in the last video, tributing Jim Shooter because he recently passed away. That he created a bunch of characters, but he also, Valiant was a new company, but it also took some of the characters from, I can't remember what company they did, like Solar, Man of the Atom, Turok, Robot Hunter, I can't remember his name, the Robot Hunter. Anybody that's into Valiant a lot, let me know some of the other characters that were new and that were not bought by the other company. And I cannot for the life of me remember the other company that they bought the characters from, or just used. I don't know how they got Solar, Man of the Atom, or Turok, and I don't know if Exo Man of War was a one of them. Also, is looking at the old Valiant something that you guys would like me to do? I was, like I've said before, I've got the first issues of most of them. I don't think I have #1s of everything. I think I probably have sold them at some point or something happened to them. But I could certainly get them easily enough, or just, I could review issue #3 or whatever. So please let me know in the comment section if you would like to see more Valiant comics reviewed by me. So it's Eternal Warrior #1 from 1992, and it's written by Jim Shooter. And this is actually written by Jim Shooter, not just scripted by him. So I'm not sure. I think they didn't do the Marvel method, and that's what he does when he doesn't work the Marvel method way, which is, as you know, the Marvel method is when a writer and the artist kind of just talk and discuss the storyline and stuff, and then the artist goes and does all the work, and then the writer gets the pages and he scripts all of the stuff. Not to say scripting and dialogue is not hard, but it's certainly the hardest thing to do. I think every artist can agree with me, is to see this blank white page that has nothing on it. Yes, it's great to talk about stuff, to think about the plot, think about the characters, think about the dialogue, and discuss that with the writer and stuff. But until you've actually put pen to paper, pencil to paper, it's nothing. It's a blank page, and you have to put your whole heart and soul into this page to create it and give it life. The writer, I think that's a much easier job, since you've already discussed the plot and the storyline and everything, and the writer's been thinking about it and maybe has some sort of process with creating the dialogue and whatnot. But it's so much easier to see what is on the page and be like, oh, there's two warriors fighting. I'm going to add some dialogue. And it's going to say, one of them's going to say something heroic and the other one's going to kind of just grunt or something, which he doesn't hear. But let's get into this, and I will review this. I will give it a number of review and stuff, and we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the writing and the art after we've gone through the book. Footprints in the Sands of Time. So this is the Eternal Warrior, like I said, and I already knew who this was beforehand or something. Anyway, he's intertwined with Archer and Armstrong. He's the older brother of Armstrong, who something Armstrong, Gilead, Garam, Armstrong, something like that. And so one of the great things about comic books, in particular, like I know a lot of other mediums do it, like the MCU really took comic books and they took the interconnectedness of the universe and they expanded into the MCU, and it was a great success. I don't know why they don't do that in other universes. Like I know that they've tried to make the what's that? Fast and Furious. They've tried to do shoot offs, spin offs, and stuff like that. But really, it's so fascinating and fantastic to have an interconnected world. That is my one of my biggest thoughts of what I would really love to do. I would love to own a TV station where everything is interconnected. All of the stories are interconnected. And it would start off similar to the new universe where there's a white light and then bam, all of these, and it would be like everything, sitcoms, comedies, drama, they would all, be in the same universe. So they would be interconnected and talk about each other and crossover and stuff like that, because crossovers are one of my favorite things. And, everybody loves them, or the MCU would have failed. That's kind of one of the reasons I think that the DC universe has never really taken hold, is because they've never truly use the interconnectedness of the universe. Like, yes, they have Wonder Woman and Batman, and they've got Superman, and they've got the Flash and all of these things. But there really isn't a harmony, and I think that's really one of the big mistakes of the DC universe, is that it really isn't a true interconnected harmony of the whole thing. So let's get into the book. It's 7 minutes, and we haven't really talked about it. So it starts out with this giant guy, and he's a kid. This is the Eternal Warrior, and I can't remember his name. His name is I'll see it. I'll see it again in the next page or so. And it's like Aram. It's the brothers are like Aram and Gilead or something like that. But he's a Eternal Warrior. He can live forever. He's super strong, and he's going to fight this guy. And they're on a raid, or they're fighting some other villagers or something. And they just have this fighting scene where he's like C16, and this guy's a grown man, but he's so strong that he knocks him over, and he's got this thunder Lion-O club. Lion-O hand thing, like Lion-O. And he defeats him. I guess his people were losing in the battle, but he says, if I take out the biggest guy, then that will inspire my people to fight a little bit harder. And he does. He kills him, and he takes off, and he smashes his head in or whatever with his great big tiger claw, his Lion-O claw. And his people, hooray, they're like inspired, and they fight off, and they do their best, and they attack the bad guys, or it's not really the bad guys, it's just like village versus village, so there really isn't a bad guy. And actually, I think these guys are the bad guys because they are raiders. They go to other villages and steal, they plunder their food and their whatever they want to take. So these are kind of the bad guys. Eternal Warrior starts out as a bad guy, kind of, if you think raping, pillaging, and plundering is bad. But it takes place before time, and actually it says it here. So it says before history. So we're thinking it's before the Egyptians. It's like 500 years before the Egyptian Empire. So we're thinking it's Sumerian or something like that, I guess. I think that's the earliest or oldest civilization. So I think they're Sumerian. And so they're just kind of, they've had their battle, and now they're, thumping their chests and stuff. And they're talking, but the young one is saying how great he did, and this is his father, and he's saying how awesome he is, and he's saying, "Can I have some of the plunder, including the women slaves?" So, and he says, and the father says, "I'll have your mother decide that," which is kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because these are like prehistoric people, or not prehistoric, but they're very old, and nobody knows what their civilization was like. So I guess this could have been it. But I'm thinking they're a little bit more barbaric. It's very difficult to do something with prehistory, or civilizations that are so, we think of them as barbaric. They're hunter gatherers, and there's just not enough information to really write exactly what you think it is. But there's certain things that you want to avoid, and certain things that you want to kind of go in on, in the way their culture is, and based on stuff like that. So it's very difficult, and I don't think anybody has really gotten it right. Maybe um, I'm trying to think of a prehistory kind of civilization, like Frank Miller's 300 is pretty spot on, as far as and it doesn't even really need to be historically accurate. It just has to read really nicely, and it has to be believable. Like, there's a couple of things in here that are just not believable, and I'll get to that at the time. But some of their dialogue, they're very, they're like I said, they're barbarians. They're whatever. They're just trying to survive and stuff. And this is the other brother, and Gilad. Gilad is the Eternal Warrior, and Aram is the younger brother. I think. Yep, Aram. Aram is Armstrong, so that's where he gets Aram and Armstrong. And then Gilad, I don't know where that turns into Eternal Warrior, but it does. But Aram wants to be like his older sibling. Aram is only 10, and he's 16. He wants to be like his sibling, and he breaks a log, and he says how super strong he is. And then time goes on a little bit, and Aram is throws a. This is one of the things that kind of makes it seem like it's not as old timey as as historically old as it is. Where he blocks up. His plan is to block up the dam with this giant rock, and the dam will pool up, and the fish will get bigger. So that's evolution, and or it's some sort of evolution, some sort of biological thing that I don't think that they would understand at the time. Like, at the time, if this is truly prehistoric kind of civilization, that they don't really know anything. But to say that, I don't know that they didn't know anything. Maybe they went through hundreds and hundreds of years of fact finding, and science, and stuff. So I don't know how evolved they were, both sociologically and historically, or whatever. Nobody knows. So just to be the writer, but this one part kind of made me feel like Jim Shooter. It was kind of just a thing that he put in there to kind of show that Aram was, the smart one, and Gilad was the warrior, the fighter, and he was trying to show the differences between them two. And really, it just goes along, and Aram is saying that he wants to be a farmer, and raise his family and raise his children. But Gilad, Eternal Warrior, says that they need to go raiding because they can't last through the winter. They've had so many offspring and stuff that they won't be able to last the winter, and they need to go and raid villages. So they decide to do that, and Aram doesn't want to do that, but he's going to do what his big brother says. And Gilad talks to his father, and his father says Aram is going to be the downfall of Gilad at some point. He's going to fail us as a one of us, and stuff like that. And Gilad says no. When he's needed, he's going to show up and stuff. So then Gilad is going to bed, and then he wakes up, and there's a mystical geomancer. I don't know if this is what's his name? Portal. What's his name in the X-Men? I can't believe I can't remember. Anyway, he's a geomancer. They talk to They talk to the Earth. They can see the future. he says he can't, but I can kind of tell that he can. But he says there's a great evil coming, and the Earth is going to be destroyed, or humanity is going to be destroyed. So at that time, he needs Gilad to defeat the evil. And Gilad's like, okay, I'll be there when it's ready. Then they go off. They attack. Southeastern Mesopotamia. So they attack a giant city in Mesopotamia, trying to get into it, but they're beaten back by the arrows, and Aram is getting shot, and Gilad is getting shot, and everybody else who's not super strong, because Aram and Gilad like are they're superhuman. They have superhuman strength. They have superhuman invulnerability. These arrows, yes, they pierce their hide, but it doesn't really hurt that much. They pull them out and they heal in a couple days or so, and they live forever. So it doesn't really ever explain exactly why that happens. It's kind of like I said before, Eternal Warrior and Aram / Armstrong are similar to my character Queller, and but he was given dragon blood, and that's why he's immortal. But he doesn't have super strength. But anyway, they're fighting these Mesopotamians. The Mesopotamians drive them back, and they have to flee. But the Mesopotamians aren't done with them. They attack again, and they've got these shields, and they pretty much wipe everybody out except for Aram and Gilad. So Aram and Gilad finally, I guess, I don't know, they drive them back. Just the two of them, because they're super strong and everything. They drive the Mesopotamians back into their city, I guess, and they're there just to, I don't know if they wipe them out or they drive them back into their city. It's kind of hard to say, because if they did, like, the Mesopotamians slaughter the whole families and everything. Their wives are dead, their kids are dead, everybody's dead except for these two brothers. And I would think that these two, being the last ones alive, they have super strength, they have invulnerability pretty much. You would think that they would have turned the tides, and that some of their people would have lived and taken over the whatever. So I think instead the Mesopotamians fled, and that's how it ended. And so Aram is like just killing the dead Mesopotamians even more than they're already dead, because they've killed his daughters and his wives and everything like that. And he's just has anguish. Gilad decides that he's going to go back into I guess they did flee back into the city, because the warriors or whatever. And so he decides that he wants to go back into the city and exact revenge. But Aram is like, no, I'm done with that. I'm done with the whole revenge fighting thing. That's your thing. I'm just going to go try to find a better life, try to find a better way of living and everything. And he pulls an arrow out of him back. He says, I'll see you again, and we'll be together again at some point. The geomancer comes along. Gilad is burying his dead and stuff, and the geomancer kind of convinces him not to go off into the Mesopotamians and try to kill everybody that's in the city and try to get revenge. Instead, he says, walk with me and maybe you'll learn a few things, because he talks about how his son was actually not killed. He was captured and brought into the city. And he says, yes, if you go there, you could get him back, but he will probably only be killed at a later date. But if you let him live there, he could have many kids. And even though he's not as strong or immortal like the Eternal Warrior, he's going to live a long time and have many kids and have a very good, enjoyable lifetime. And the Eternal Warrior, he says, if you do go back there, he's probably just going to die. So he decides to go along with the geomancer, and they kind of go along this walkabout. And then it cuts to Aram, and he's lifting some Egyptian girls. It doesn't tell you until a few pages later that this 500 years later. I wish it said at the very beginning that it was 500 years later. But it doesn't really need to be. You know that this is Egyptian and everything. So he's some sort of court strongman, and he does whatever the pharaoh says, and he helps him out and stuff. But he's got a family, and he's got kids, and he's got a wife. When Gilad, Eternal Warrior, shows up, and he talks to him basically about the geomancers and how there is going to be a some sort of evil thing that comes upon the earth, and he'll need his brother to be there and help him when it does. And they just kind of have a little bit of repertoire, but brotherly, talking. They never have any kind of animosity towards each other, which is really great. They could have been decided to make one of them a little bit more brusque, and one of them, which they do, but they don't make it in an animosity kind of way. It's not like the brothers in um, the Ten Commandments. It's not like no, not Noah. Who is it? Anyway, the two brothers are very competitive and stuff like that. But these guys are brothers. They love each other, and even though they have disagreements about stuff, they still have that common boundary, that common bound rather, bond, the bond. Anyway, Gilad leaves and he says, there is a thing coming, and when it does come, will you be there with me? And Aram says, yes, he will. Cut later. We don't know what year this is. I'm assuming it is 1992 because that's when the comic book was published. You kind of just know that this is Eternal Warrior, but it says Interstate 51 near Wagner, Oklahoma, April 4th, 1992, 7:05. So it does. I'm sorry. It does say when it is. I didn't think it did. But he's on a motorcycle, and he's at a truck stop because there's trucks, and in the diner, and he's getting some gas, and he's going to make a phone call, but there's like a little biker gang, and he says it's $10 to use the phone, and Eternal Warrior is like, really, you're going to try to charge me? And so he attacks him, and the Eternal Warrior just kind of mops the floor with him. He makes a phone call, and he talks to his lawyer, and this is kind of a little bit Highlander-ish, where he's gained some wealth and some knowledge and some notoriety and stuff. So he's got a network of friends and colleagues and stuff, and he does some sort of weird stuff. One of the things that I forgot to mention was that Gilad actually says that he wants to go off and do good deeds. And Aram is like, I try to sway people to be better. I try to live a good life, and I try to do good deeds, but I'm not going to go out looking for a fight. And Gilad is like, well, I'm going to go looking for ways to make the world better. And so, that's what it is. That's kind of what he's doing. He's trying to make his world better. He goes to his hotel room after fighting with the biker gangs, and this is like his secretary or whatever. And she's just kind of going over the itinerary and, getting him new clothes. And they have a kind of a James Bond repertoire, him and, Moneypenny or whatever. So it's kind of going that way, which is a little bit interesting. So they're kind of just talking about, does she believe that he's thousands of years old? And she says she doesn't, and all that stuff. They get a phone call from somebody, and they're under attack. So I think it's somebody that he was helping. Maybe they were being accosted by gangsters or something. We don't know. I don't know if this comes up in later issues. Like I said, I got the first few issues of all of the comics, but I didn't really last for very long. So anybody that's really read into Eternal Warrior for a good amount of issues, or has all of them, please let me know some of the things that I might not know. Like, does it go back to some of this stuff that he's talking about, where he's actually helping people? It's very Incredible Hulk kind of TV show where he goes from town to town helping people. Is that it? But she gets the phone call. There's whoever they're talking to. There's gunshots, and actually there's somebody else that's coming. They're banging on the doors, and I think it was somebody that was actually coming there and looking for help and stuff. But then there's like, I don't know who they are, mafia or something like that, and they blast into the door, use their guns, and he's going to try to do his best to fight them off. And he tells her to run away and hide and stuff, and to get out of there as best she can. But then these glowing sparkly things. And really, this is kind of what lost me a little bit. I didn't really know what was going on. I did recognize the glowing things from Solar Man of the Atom, so I was kind of didn't really know if he was showing up or what was going on. But it's a teleporter thing, and I really kind of wish that they'd done that a little bit better or a lot better, because I did get lost in that. I didn't really understand that, which anybody that's drawn teleporting stuff, it's very hard to do. I think what you have to do is you have to have it on the same page. You have to have some sort of you have to have three panels. You have to have the starting of the teleportation. You have to have the actual teleportation, and you have to have the arriving at the destination on the same page at the same time. So you realize it's teleporting, and it really kind of wasn't done very well. So anyway, this is the epilogue. He was teleported to somewhere where Archer and Armstrong are, and actually he had talked about another geomancer. So another geomancer kid was talking about how it's going to be the end of the world, and we need to save humanity and all of this stuff. And at first, he's like, these geomancers, they don't really know exactly when the end of the world is going to be. They just kind of, are nebulous about what they're talking about. It's like, who knows when it's going to be, but he is there and ready to help whenever time arises. So he ends up here teleported, and he sees the geomancer, and he's talking, and Exo Manowar is there, and the geomancer there, and Archer and Armstrong are there, and they're being attacked. No, wait a minute. That's not what happened. He goes to the geomancer, and then it cuts to Archer and Armstrong, and they're in their own little battle fighting some sort of East Los Angeles. There's some sort of assassins, and Armstrong is trying to get Archer away. Archer always wants to fight. He's some sort, I can't remember. He's some sort of ninja or something. But then Eternal Warrior shows up. He's teleported in. Again, this little bit of teleportation does not do it for me. They needed to do a little bit better job of the teleportation. But he explains the geomancer. He explains what's going on. Archer is all in. Armstrong's like, is a better place than here with these assassins trying to kill us? And Eternal Warrior is like, yes, because they have the hand of what's his name, and Solar Man of the Atom. And so it comes to bam, this page here, or this panel here, with a bunch of the or all of the Valiant heroes, the current Valiant heroes. So that's how it ends, and it's kind of a to be continued into a much bigger thing. I guess it's Unity. It's part of the Unity thing, and I don't know if Unity was that part of the Image crossover. I cannot remember. I just can't remember. Somebody let me know. Somebody let me know if Unity was part of that, or if that was not Deathmate, Death something. Anyway, let me know if that was part of the Image thing. So the writing is really good. Like I said, Jim Shooter, he's a professional. He does really good writing. His dialogue's pretty good. Actually, I really did enjoy the dialogue. I've said before that his dialogue's a little bit wonky or a little bit stiff, but I really did enjoy this here. I think maybe when he's actually the writer, and he's giving a little bit more input than just saying, talking out with the artist and setting him free. I think he maybe has a clear image in his head of what he wants, so his dialogue can kind of follow the story, and it's all a little bit more cohesive. And I think that's really kind of what happened. The art in the story, it moves along nicely. I would say the teleporting thing is the artist's fault and not the Jim Shooter's fault. But the story moves along nicely. It's not really confusing at all. There might be a couple points where like, but you're telling a really intricate story of prehistory, and you've got a lot of things going on here that could go off the rails, and it doesn't really go off the rails. So it's not really confusing at all. It's a good, solid story, and it was enjoyable. I did enjoy this read. The art is very competent. I did enjoy it. Not fantastic. It's by John Dixon. Oh no, Penciled and Ink by John Dixon, and I believe I've seen his stuff before. I think he does a lot of the Marvel martial arts stuff. I think he did a lot of Punisher, but I'm not entirely sure. Let me know if you guys know. Um, so it his art is perfectly capable. He's perfectly capable. I really like the coloring. It doesn't have who did the coloring, but it's really it's capable. I enjoyed it. It's very clear. Like all of the narrative art is really good. I didn't have any problems following it except for the teleportation, which is very difficult. He's got a lot of different shots. He's got a lot of different you know actions, and it really is, especially for the time period. It kind of looks like a European style or you know a Mobius kind of style or something like that, which is really interesting. I like that a lot. And there's a lot going on. He's got some really great figures. His characters have a really a good range of emotion, and it really kind of draws you into the story, which is one of the great things about being a really competent comic book artist. Is if you're drawn into the story. If you're not drawn into the story, then everything else just kind of fades away, and it's not really that great. But you get drawn into the story, and he's got, like I said, he's got great emotions. He's got great atmosphere. There's, the layouts and everything is very nice. The narrative art is, as I said, is very good. You never have to relook at anything. He doesn't. It's definitely older style. He does only 5 or 6 panels per page, 4, 5, 6 panels per page. He's not using the image style where he has an anchor panel, but the story moves along nicely. He doesn't need an anchor panel. I like the anchor panels, but it is what it is. And he kind of does have some anchor panels. Like here's an establishing shot. That's the anchor panel, I guess. And here's the anchor panel. It's just a little bit smaller. If this was image, this would be like the whole page, and then they would have 2 more panels or 3 more panels on the bottom. So I did enjoy that. I do enjoy his narrative art, and I did like it, but there's just nothing unique about his art that makes me want to say, hey, I got to go get some John Dixon art. It's just not there for me. But he's certainly a good enough artist. And the cover, let's look at the cover. Cover is Frank Miller. You always can recognize Frank Miller stuff, especially his older stuff. His newer stuff, I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion. But his cover is really pretty great. Excuse me. I love it. I love the whole what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? The layout. I love the layout of it. I love the colors. I love the he's got such a strong light source. Even if this was black and white, he would have such a strong light source because that's what Frank Miller does, and it's really fantastic. I really love it. In which I love all of his covers, his older covers. His new stuff, again, it's a different thing. So I'm gonna give this. I'm going to give this an 8. If I see more Eternal Warriors out there, I'm actually going to get some. And I think I might get more Valiants if they're in the dollar bins anyway. I think I would get some more Eternal Warriors and stuff like that. Also, I did not mention that the epilogue of this book is by Barry Windsor Smith, and you can never go wrong with Barry Windsor Smith. The last 2 pages are BWS, and he's fantastic. We haven't gone through anything on his on the channel. No, we did. We did the Alpha Flight, not the Alpha Flight. We did the X-Men 205, and that's a great book by him, but we haven't really gone into depth into any of his stuff. So it's really fantastic. All of his artwork is really fantastic. So that even bumps the book up even more, having a top tier, top 10 probably comic book artist. So I'm going to give this an 8. I can't give it more than that because there isn't really a lot of emotional resonance into it, it's not something groundbreaking and new. But it's a number 1, so you have to learn the characters. You have to, explain the characters, explain the setting, explain the bad guys, stuff like that. So for number 1, it's good. I'm giving this an 8. So if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. This is what I do. I go over indie comics from the 70s, 80s, 90s, but really anything Marvel, DC, anything that really is unusual or different. then I'm willing to give it a shot and give it a review. So please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, thumbs up, and all of that cool stuff. But even more than that, I really love comments. I love talking about comic books. So I'm always willing to discuss anything about if you loved Valiant, if you love Eternal Warrior, or if you hate Valiant, or you hate Eternal Warrior, please let me know. I'd love to hear your comments. And I'm always, if I see your comment, sometimes I might miss it, but if I see your comment, I'm always going to reply because, like I said, I love talking about comic books. But thanks for watching. It's a Wednesday, so we've got another video, maybe even more coming up. And then the weekend, and we'll have a live stream with Joe, hopefully. And but thanks for watching, and as always, keep on creating.